All right, guys. So we got to talk about pop star Demi Lovato today, right? Who is a star not only in music but also a star in the world of LGBTQ issues, right? Because she has been a outspoken celebrity regarding her sexual and gender identity. I believe that she had come out as bisexual, right? And she came out as non-binary as well when it comes to gender. Now, in a recent interview, she expanded upon her newfound gender to give us more insight into how it could potentially evolve one day, right? She says that it's very fluid and that one day she might be trans. Take a look.
My name is Demi, and I identify as non binary, but most importantly, I'm just a human on this planet that is working daily to try to expand my consciousness to become a more empathetic and compassionate person to my neighbors and my community. And that's how I identify in this present moment. And I like to sing.
I feel like you've had such a gender journey, and we've talked about that recently, but I'm curious, can you talk just like a little bit about what that's looked like? Has it been longer than the moment when you sort of came out?
Totally. It's always longer than what the world sees, right? Like I look back to when I think the first times that I ever questioned my gender was probably in like the fifth grade, fourth and fifth grade. Like I started dressing more masculine, and even though a part of my life I was still very feminine, I was doing beauty pageants and getting glammed up for these performances or events that I was doing as a kid. In my downtime, I was finding it more comfortable to be around the boys and to, I guess at the time, make fart jokes and like, whatever fifth graders do. And I realized like, oh, I'm not that girly. And it wasn't until I went to middle school that I completely changed my image and kind of my branding to make myself more digestible for people in middle school, because I just had a sense that they weren't going to be as friendly as they were in elementary school. And sure enough, I was right. But that was the catalyst to the rest of my life living in this hyper feminine state that I didn't totally always identify with. I mean, there were times where I shaved half my head and wore flannels and combat boots, but was in a hetero relationship. And like, I've had a very interesting journey, but yes, it didn't just start with a few months ago, me being like, yeah, I'm non-binary. It was me learning what that was through friends, having a real self-exploration, uh, self-exploring look into myself and learning what that meant for me, and then coming out to the rest of the world.
Is this a journey forever?
Yes, I definitely think it's a journey forever. There might be a time where I identify as trans. Like, I don't know what this looks like for me. There might be a time where I identify as non-binary and gender non-conforming my entire life. Or maybe there's a period of time when I get older that I identify as a woman. Like I don't know what that looks like, but for me, in this moment right now, this is how I identify. And I have a feeling that it's not going to ever go back to one way or the other, but it's about keeping it open and free, and I'm a very fluid person. And so that goes with how I express myself as well.
Oh man, it's hard to take topics like this seriously because some of the stuff you hear it comes out of people's mouth. I'm just like, bruh, what world are we living in? But she's sitting here talking about, when I grew up, I used to wear boy clothes and, make fart jokes and, do all these things that are associated with being masculine to a certain extent, right? She said she used to flip flop. And to me, I'm sitting here thinking the whole time, like, that doesn't sound like you're non-binary, right? Which means that you don't identify with the binary gender of male or female, right? Boy or girl, right? You are outside of that spectrum in terms of your gender. Now, I really, God honest truth, guys, I don't know what that means, right? I really don't. Okay, that's why I'm doing this topic. I'm trying to make some sense out of this, okay? But it sounded like to me what she was describing is a tomboy, right? A typical tomboy, a girl that tends to have some masculine traits, right? She may play with G.I. Joe instead of Barbie. She may wear boots, or she may, do things as a young person that is more masculine. And that is something that can continue into adulthood. But at the end of the day, I mean, she's still a girl, right? She's still a woman, but there seems to be no need to make up a whole nother gender, right? Like, what is the point of making up a gender for a term that we already have, right? That's not a gender. It's just a term used to describe a girl who sometimes acts like a boy. Like, the whole gender thing seems to be there, right? The whole, like, oh, y'all make a whole nother gender thing. It seems to be there again to get special privileges. That's what it seems like. And to me, it really sounds like Demi Lovato is one of those people that has been told that, hey, because you have some masculine and feminine traits, then instead of, being a tomboy or just a woman that, tends to like some things that men like, oh, no, you are non-binary, right? You are non-binary, okay? And to me, guys, I mean, I can't help but listen to this stuff and just feel like, is this a game, right? You're creating terms and terminology to define something that's already been defined, making it more complicated than what it actually is. And it's like, it's not that complicated. You're not special, right? I'm so serious. It's almost like I want a special label for me to describe how I identify my gender. When it's like, you already have one. You're a tomboy, right? You're a girl that occasionally acts like a boy, right? There's always been women like that. Again, that doesn't make you special. It doesn't. But again, I can't help but think that she wants to be special. And that's why I think a lot of this stuff comes from, because it seems overly complicated, right? Now, I'm not the only person who feels this way. There's actually some people that's in the transgender community that feels the same way, right? They're actually frustrated with Demi Lovato particularly because of her statement surrounding saying that one day she might be trans. Take a look.
Thing to be incredibly offensive, where people feel like they can just identify as trans. Being trans, is not an identity. It's a mental and physical misalignment between your psyche and your body. It gives you crippling anxiety. It makes you hate yourself from the time that you have consciousness. This isn't something that you just have an epiphany about when you're 22, or in her case, whatever age she is. And this drives me crazy because Demi Lovato is seen as an authority on trans issues now by the mainstream media and by a lot of people online, woke and not woke alike. And for people who are genuinely transgender, who have felt like they were in the wrong body their entire lives, this has severe consequences. And I feel like those consequences are just being ignored and not talked about for the sake of being politically correct and for being polite. The consequences of having people that don't necessarily represent your experience speaking on your behalf are that they misrepresent your experience. And that has serious consequences when it comes to things like passing legislation or getting the mainstream to understand our experience and getting mainstream acceptance, particularly from people on the right. Because guess what? Conservatives are also lawmakers as well, and it sucks that they're bigoted. But this whole non-binary people identifying as transgender thing is really not helping us. And it's pushing back our rights. And I'm not even saying that to be mean. It's just so evident by what's happening. And if you're not paying attention, you should.
All right, guys. So as you can see there, I mean, listen, she kind of got a point, right? She kind of got a point. I ain't gonna lie. Except the part about conservatives being bigots. Now, conservatives are not bigots. We just don't really want to play games, okay? We don't have time to be playing these games, right? And that's basically how it is. And it sounds like she agrees that people like Demi Lovato are playing games. We agree on that, okay? We agree on that. And before I get deeper into my commentary, let me actually read some other comments too that's on Twitter. One person says, usually I don't question anyone's identity, but what's up with Demi Lovato? They're giving Trisha Paytas vibes. How do you say there might be a day where I identify as trans? Either you are or you aren't. That's not really an identity. You can choose. Demi Lovato is irritating me because it's people really out here struggling with their identities and being accepted for who they are. It's not a I might identify as trans one day or I might identify as a woman when I'm older. Like, this is not a joke. I cannot be the only person who can't stand Demi Lovato. There might be a time where I identify as a trans girl. You are slapping people in the face who have felt uncomfortable in their own body since they could remember. You're so self-involved, my God. I'm sorry, but I'm sure Demi Lovato saying that they won't always identify as non-binary and may one day identify as trans is offensive to people genuinely trying to get people to take it all seriously. You can't pick and choose like you're shopping for groceries. I kind of agree. Okay, because again, like I told you guys, when I first heard her explain this stuff, I was like, this has to be a joke, right? This can't be serious. Okay, you notice how she said that in the interview, I might identify as everything except a man. Okay, that's what she said. I might identify as anything, but she didn't say a man. Okay, I might identify as non-binary. I might identify as a woman, but you're not going to identify as a man. That to me seems like somebody that's not confused about what she believes she is, right? Which is a woman. It sounds to me like that non-binary label might be there as a way to get attention, right? That's what it seems like to me. Because again, you've already decided, well, I'm not a man, right? Might be a woman, non-binary. I mean, I don't know what other genders are there outside of man and woman. I mean, I really don't know. I mean, I've looked some of this stuff up. I mean, right? And I think I found the perfect gender for her, okay? I think I found one that she can stick with, okay? I think I found it, right? I think it's Demi Gender, right? Demi Gender, which really, I mean, is fitting for her, right? Considering her name is Demi Lovato, right? As a Demi Gender is a gender identity that involves feeling a partial but not a full connection to a particular gender identity or just to the concept of gender. Demi Gender people often identify as non-binary. See what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Demi Gender is not necessarily a partial connection to gender like male or female and a partial connection to a gender. Instead, it is more commonly referred to as a partial connection to a third gender that possibly can't be described by the term a gender, or it is just not the absence of a gender. Demi-gender people may feel that partial connection to a gender but cannot necessarily be described. I don't really know what I just read, but that sounds like her. Right? That sounds like her. Okay? But guys, I mean, I just find it hilarious when celebrities come out with this stuff. And I'm just really convinced that a lot of this is just for attention. A lot of it is just, hey, I'm special. Okay, look at me. I identify as this. I identify as that. And which, like I said, I don't care what you identify as. But sometimes when you just listen to people talk about this stuff, it's like, bro, what are you saying? Like, what are you actually saying? You're a tomboy, right? Like, you're a tomboy. You're making it more complicated than it actually is, okay? And hey, I mean, look, I can see why the transgender community would be upset with Demi Lovato. I can see why they would give her some backlash because, again, she's kind of making it look like a joke, right? She's kind of making it look like it's not serious, okay? Then to the outsider like me, I can confirm that this is true, right? Because I'm an outsider. I don't know that much, right? I don't know that much. I'm learning, okay? But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.